Hey, good afternoon, you amazing human beings, guys. It is the DVDM Markets Daily Dose. Guys, I'm super excited for a bunch of different reasons. There's obviously CPI out today, but most importantly, I think the thing that's going to have the biggest impact on our community is our brand new social area. So if you're not already there, I don't know what you're doing. If you're watching me right now, I sent the links into the group. Go ahead, sign up. It's absolutely free. And this is the vision of what we've been working on for months, a vision of what we've been having for years. And with along with the leaders, the vision of what we intend for our trading community, what we believe it can be. If you're part of our new social environment, go in, jump in, have some fun, guys. There's nothing you can break. You can share, you can drop, ask for advice on certain things, you can comment, you can go nuts, you can follow each other, you can level up, and you'll see our calendar will pretty much have all of our big events. And we're doing something pretty special lining up for the next couple days. We'll be doing a webinar, the CEO and executive team of TD Markets, to really speak about what is real markets, what's real trading conditions, what's STP trading like, and how do we further identify things like gaps, slippage, etc., to really understand what does a real market look like, right? As I've discussed with some of the leaders, we have pretty much a bunch of these synthetic markets that are trying to mimic real market conditions, but they're not. So it's going to be an amazing inside opportunity to speak directly with the executive team and some amazing people that have traded on Wall Street for major companies like Goldman Sachs, etc. So stay tuned for that. That will be inside the calendar within our social environment. Now, what I've asked in the past week, and I still would love some of you guys' feedback, what are we calling this, right? We're calling it at the moment our DVDM Markets home, our community, our social environment. But I'd love to know from you guys in the comments, what do you think? What do we call it? Let's give it a name, etc. Now, this is not yet launched. We've opened this up to our leaders and some of our Premium Plus members. This has not yet gone public. So it's an opportunity for you guys to jump in, get familiar with the platform, level yourselves up as leaders and people within our community before we go public. Now, there's a couple big things that we're still working on to really tie this up and make it an ultimate trading experience. As we are finalizing our signal service this week, we're busy with training of our people that are obviously going to be helping to generate and make sure these signals are the way we intend to trade. This is all going to start to roll out into the community over the next week. So you guys are going to see amazing, absolutely amazing signals. It's going to be on the Forex side. To be commodity, is going to be indices. We also have some crypto trading in there as well. Once we have that, we have a complete service package and service offering, and that is just on the free side. And then we have Premium Plus, which we're going to be moving everybody into, every single one of you that are Premium Plus members. And we've prepared something extremely special for you guys there, where you get all the benefits of the free environment and so much more. And we're even going as far as giving you an additional 50% discount on the 50% discount you already have. So it's going to be super low, cost-effective access that's going to give you the best that you can ever receive in the markets, right? So super excited, obviously, to talk about that. For those of you who've seen it and been in it, super amazing platform. Just tons of things that we can do together. There's a classroom, there's a calendar, there's a bunch of things that we can do. And most importantly, in the community aspect, you can jump in and you can chat, you can share with us, what are you thinking, what are you seeing? And you can see from a bunch of our leaders, a bunch of our traders, what are we thinking about a particular instrument or what's busy happening in the markets. You are able to upload, what is it you're seeing, to get a bit of comments. You can share, you can like, you can forward, you can do a bunch of different things. So feel free to use the community and enjoy it. It's there for you. It's built for us, and we're building this thing together. So your comments, as always, are going to be hugely insightful, and we always love to hear from you. Now, what is happening today? Right, most importantly, we have some CPI data coming out in the next about 25 minutes or so. We have the US CPI that's pretty much going to give us an inflation reading on the US. Right now, most of you know, and obviously have been following where we are in the story of inflation in the US. And pretty simply put, higher than expected inflation reading for today will basically give the dollar a boost, right? In this particular last week, we've obviously seen the dollar tumble, and this is due to a bunch of things, but primarily this is due to the war that is currently happening. If you're not paying attention, there's obviously a major issue happening between Israel and Palestine. Go and read up about it. It's horribly, it's a horrible thing. And we are trading in unprecedented times. So even though we have some good experience on what we can expect from a CPI perspective, we also have this external geopolitical issues, as well as the war, that are affecting the markets and may mean we can see markets move in unprecedented ways, right? We're seeing a massive sell-off on the dollar. We're seeing gold haven or gold safe haven commodities such as gold, silver. These are obviously going through the roof, and indices are kind of sitting at a little bit of a stall point. So I'm going to show you that in great detail. But what you need to know is obviously the fact that a higher than expected CPI reading this afternoon is going to boost the dollar. So what are we looking at? And for those of you who are following at home and you're going to be looking at this when it comes out, I'm particularly not trading the CPI. I'm going to set up some bunch of pending orders as we're testing our new trading environment to have a look at different effects. But most importantly, you're going to want to watch out here for the two types of CPI, core CPI and normal CPI. As I've explained before, core CPI is consumer price inflation that strips away food and energy, the two most volatile components of the CPI. However, in recent months, we're starting to see that Wall Street and the markets as a whole start to really take value in the normal CPI, right? Because in the past, they're stripping away food and energy, say, hey, that's not representative of the actual inflation. But in modern times, people are saying, but hey, if food and energy is costing more, then yes, there is inflation, there is an issue here. So we're seeing a lot more weight being associated with the normal CPI and a little bit less weight associated with core CPI. But a disparity between the two will show you how big of a difference and how much food and energy is affecting inflation worldwide at the moment. So super important to pay attention to. So we have obviously normal CPI, we have core CPI, but then in both of those two categories, they're broken down in month by month and year to date, right? Both have their place and time in terms of importance. But at the moment, our current focus is from month to month, is inflation coming down? Now, if inflation comes down, right, this will be a negative effect on the dollar. We will continue to see then some topside moves on gold, US30, US 100, right? If CPI rises, we could see a stronger dollar and a little bit of a sell-off on these areas. But again, this does not take into account to the fact that there is a war happening. There's geopolitical tensions and things are changing on a daily basis with the US getting involved and other sort of territorial leaders getting involved. So again, it's a very, very tricky time to trade this, right? We are going to see a bunch of volatility. We are going to see a bunch of movement. If you're in some long-term trades, I know many of you that are in the leadership group as well, many of you are in long-term gold positions, right? You're going long on gold. This should not affect your positions, right? We've looked at gold entering way down at that 1815 mark, if I'm not mistaken. And so we are 700 pips above market price. This is not the type of news event that would change that as a bias, right? Even if the US CPI came out higher than expected and gave the dollar some temporary boost, this doesn't, for me, in my personal opinion, and this is not financial advice in any way, shape or form, this does not change my long-term view on gold, right? At the moment, there's far more negative effects based on the war and the outcomes of that than there could be on something like the CPI number. So just take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt. Now, again, we have the yearly, we have the monthly, but the most important one here is going to be core CPI month on month, in my personal opinion, and then it's going to be CPI year on year, right? CPI month on month. These are going to be the two items that I'm going to be paying the most attention to. Now, just to give you a little bit of a heads up, economists are expecting core CPI to stay dead flat at a 0.3% increase from last month. So seeing a slight increase, but a flat increase, an expected increase of 0.3%. However, on the CPI, the straight CPI number, they're expecting a decrease, right? In the sense that only a 0.3% increase from last month versus a 0.6% monthly increase that we've been seeing prior months before that. So even though it is an increase, it's a decrease off the trend of the higher numbers that we're seeing from the CPI data perspective, right? So for a big shock in the markets, if you guys are in long positions on indices of gold, we would then want to be looking for a 0.2, a 0.1 or less. If we see a negative CPI, you guys know what that means. It'll be a massive shock effect on the dollar, on indices towards that top side. Similar thing on the core aspect. Now, again, as with all fundamental data events and why we're starting to trade them less and less, it is highly likely we're going to see a mixed bag of results today, meaning that we could, for instance, see a higher than expected core CPI reading and a lower than expected CPI reading, right? And that would mean that we're basically putting the decision back into the markets, and the markets need to tell us through price action through which of these two readings are they placing more weighting, right? And that will then obviously determine market direction. So that's the reason I'm not too interested in trading the CPI this afternoon. We have some long-term trades that have been extremely profitable, and again, to potentially look for 50, 60, 80 pips is not worth the risk that it represents from a volatility perspective. So looking at the charts where we're at, and very clearly, I just want to show you guys, for those who are scalping, this was identified in the group. Let's just quickly have a look at our social environment. I think it was Garwin that identified this. Let's just quickly have a look. Pretty sure it was Garwin. Yeah, so okay, it's Garwin identified, we're talking about where gold is and what is it busy doing, and I was asking the team to obviously provide what is that they're thinking, and he's obviously pointed out the fact that we have this very sharp trend on a 1 hour time frame, and we are hugely overbought here, right? So I think if there's an opportunity this afternoon, it may be in the sense that on this gold bull structure we currently see here, if we see a surprise number higher than expected CPI reading on the dollar, this may represent some sort of short-term scalping opportunities, right? And I'm not talking life-changing moves. You can't call your grandmother and say you've made it and you're quitting your day job, but it certainly does represent a few pips in the bag, and potentially some sort of pull down to the gap that we saw that was on Monday morning, right? So that gap we saw in gold, a gap from 1831 to 1846. We might get to the gap. I don't believe we're going to close it. I just think there's too much risk in the markets from that, the perspective of what's currently happening in the Middle Eastern areas. But I do think, if we receive that higher CPI reading, there may be 100, 200 pips here looking at gold. On the US 30 perspective, right, I've drawn out a level that I believe to be extremely valuable. And that's going to be the 33,890 on the Dow Jones US 30, right? And I believe if we get a higher than reading CPI number here, we may pull down to this level, but I don't believe we're going to break this market structure, right? So I'll be looking for some buy opportunities in that area. And another technique you can use is look for a 50 moving average on a 30-minute time frame, right? That's going to offer you a little bit of market structure, if you will, or a dynamic support level. So if we come back down into that 50 moving average, it'll probably start to happen around about that same level. We break through that, we may look at some shorts, but again, I'm still committed to longs on indices as well as commodities for the balance of this week, and at least into the foreseeable future, until something progresses productively on the war front, right? The same thing on US 30, USA 100, NASDAQ. On tech, the only thing on USA 100 that I'm a little bit concerned about for this trading session is that we're already at some previous highs, right? If you have a look over the course of the day, we've spiked into this 15,320 area. This is the third attempt we're making into this area, and so rejection off here may be possible, and then we don't have as much meat on the bone here for a little bit of a pullback. And Nasdaq's obviously got some support levels fairly lower than this current point, right? So again, the 50 moving average may offer a dynamic support level here for us, but Nasdaq does represent potentially about 600-700 pips to the downside on that stronger dollar. Now, this is obviously taking into account that the expectations for the CPI aren't exceeded dramatically, right? So if we see, example, we're expecting a 0.3%. If we see a 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, that would cause a massive boost to the dollar, and again, a lot of these structures could be broken. So again, it's going to be, you're gonna have to take this with a pinch of salt based on when the data comes out in the next 15 minutes or so. For this time being, we are mostly bullish across the board, just due to what's happening from a price action perspective, what's happening in the world. Again, looking at gold, there's not too much left in our way up into that $1,900 to an ounce of gold at this moment, right? That's going to be our next key massive level. 1905, 1906 maybe is that higher end of that level, but at the moment, most of us are sitting in buys from 1814, 1815, somewhere around about that area. If you are part of those buys, please obviously share that within our community. We'd love to see some of those profits. It's a great motivational. Now, you guys know my view and my feeling of posting trades on social media. I don't believe in sharing profits on social media, because I believe it creates a false advertisement of what you could achieve if you just start trading tomorrow, right? However, in our social area, I believe this is a safe space for people. When you make money, we want to celebrate you. We want to do that in a way that is in line with our morals and what we stand for. So you guys are in trades and you're making money, please feel free to share it on our social area. We want to celebrate you, we want to uplift you, we want to we want to boost you. We all know what it's like to lose some money in trading. That is the lowest low. And we all know what it's like to make money in trading. That's the highest high. And the community is here to support you at your lowest low and cheer you on and celebrate you at your highest high. So that's exactly what we want to do. So you're welcome to share your trades within the community. As a side note, if anything happens in the community you do not like, you'll see that on every post there's an option to report the post directly to admins. At the moment, it's myself and Marsha and some of the team. So if there's anything that you see, if somebody inboxes you something strange, report it to us. We're able to see everything. We're able to remove the person from the community immediately. This is the advantage we have of not being on Instagram, Facebook, etc. That we have direct control of our community. If anybody inboxes you, gives you a link to something you don't feel comfortable, report it to us. We'll investigate and we'll resolve within minutes, if not hours at the latest. Okay, so feel free. Anything unsettles you, let us know. We will have that resolved. We will set it straight. Now, for the CPI, again, there can be a ton of volume, a ton of volatility. As I've said to you guys in the past, don't get tricked into trading the hype. Ignore the hype. Focus on developing your skill. Focus on developing your craft, your risk management. Let the hype go, right? Nobody cares about these Instagram traders who are guessing before an event what's going to happen, because again, they're just hoping that they're right. Forget about that, right? If the CPI worries you or the volatility worries you or your account is small, you don't want to risk it, don't risk it. Stand by, watch, learn from what happens, study the charts. Don't walk away and sit at the TV, but look at what happens, observe what happens, note it and take it in, and it better prepares you for the next time. So there's nothing wrong with sitting it out and living to trade another day. That's what it's all about. Hey guys, I'm super excited about the new trading community. We're going to be spending a ton of our time and efforts over the next coming weeks to really make this a world-class place. It's that nothing else, that no other institution, no other business in the world currently offers, and we can already see that coming together. We thank you for your comments, thank you for your feedback thus far. We're getting very overwhelming positive feedback from you guys that you're loving the community. As I've said, feel free to play around. There's nothing you can break, you can click, you can post, you can do whatever you want. If you make a mistake, we will correct you in a kind manner and guide you in the proper direction, right? So feel free, have some fun with it, and let us know your feedback as always. Guys, we appreciate you, we love you. Inside the calendar, we're going to further schedule out all of the future events. The webinar with the CEO of TD Markets will be scheduled. We're just getting confirmation because we have people sitting in different countries that need to come together to make this possible. So once that webinar is scheduled, it will be live in our calendar, in our social environments, and you're going to be able to jump in. There's a few questions that I've prepared for them to answer to you guys as a community, and it's an opportunity for you to get to know the executive team, to get to know who are the people that we've entrusted with our money, and to make sure that we are trading in the purest conflict-free trading environment that is out there in the world. As always, guys, much love to every single one of you in the community. As you guys know, I have my family down, and I appreciate and thank you guys for the time off and the support to spend time doing the things that are most important in life, and that is family at the end of the day. So appreciate you guys. As always, much love. Trade safe, be safe, and until I see you guys a little bit later, you know the drill. Goodbye.